Good afternoon. I'm here today with Mrs. Hill, who is the Deputy Head of Secondary, to talk about the various options that we offer all of our students as they move through the secondary phase. Before I begin, I'm just going to talk about the secondary journey that the students go on as they leave primary and they move into their adult life. One of the most important aspects that students need to develop is their own intrinsic motivation and independence to make sure that they are the ones driving their own education. As we get to our GCSEs, it is incredibly easy to procrastinate and not focus on the work that we need to do. But as we get older and we get to that turning point in our lives, it's really important that they develop that motivation and that independence to ensure they achieve their very best. And then when they get to year 9, they come to their options. So, Ms. Hill, what would be your key advice you would give to students choosing their options in year 9?
The most important thing is to reflect on their progress and their attainment and where they're at in their studying, and think about the subjects that they're really good at. And that would be the number one piece of advice that I'd give them, that they'd want to choose the subjects that they are excelling in. The second piece of advice would be that they're interested in it, that they've looked at the future and what they need for their future career or the universities, so that they can choose the correct subjects that they need for a certain course that they're going to be on. So I think that they would be the most important things to think about whenever they're choosing their GCSEs and their A-levels. I mean, their A-level options, they really have to be thinking about the university courses and thinking about the requirements that each course requires, you know, whether that's in the UK, whether it's Europe, whether it's the USA. They have to look at whether it's A-levels, IB, so they've got the different pathways depending on what they are interested in and what they want to do. So they really have to really sit down and think about where they want to go, what university, and what subjects that they need.
So it's almost like choosing your university and your course and then working backwards to make sure you've got what you need to do it.
100%. Every time they have to think about what the university is, what their career is, what university requirements are for that career, what A-level requirements are, then what GCSEs. So again, it's that whole transition, as you have just mentioned, from primary into secondary, and then from year 9 into 10. So whatever you choose from year 9 into 10 will affect what you do from year 11 into 12 and then into year 13.
So I know with GCSEs, obviously with the larger number of subjects that the students are offered and the larger number of subjects that they are able to study, they can really hone in on what they enjoy. Mm-hmm. But when we get to Key Stage 5 and the options for A-level, that's when they have to be much more specific. Are there certain courses that they can choose which are accepted across kind of a wide breadth of university courses? Because I know history, which was a surprise to me, is quite a well accepted course, isn't it, across the breadth?
Yes, and the likes of English would be accepted as well. Again, it's just important that the students look at what the requirements are for each course, and again what the subjects they're interested in, so that they can excel and flourish in those subjects of what they need for the universities.
And that aspect you said about students choosing courses they enjoy, I think that's really, really important. As we know, when we get into the working world, if you don't enjoy your job, you don't do as well as you possibly could do. And it's the same with your A-levels. Choosing A-levels that you really enjoy. I know certainly from my own son's experience, he chose history because he had a passion for history, and he got a really good grade without really having to try, because he just enjoyed it so much. I think that's a really key aspect when you're choosing your options at Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5, and when you're choosing your university course. Yeah,
and I think that's the same for many students. You know, if they're interested in it, they're going to do well at it, because they're going to invest in the time into succeeding in it.
And I know here at Regent we've got options evening coming up soon.
We do. We have that on Monday from 4 till 6. And in that evening, we're going to give a talk to parents about the GCSE process, about the A-level process. We're going to look at the different options, the different subjects, where we have our specialist teachers who will be here on the evening, who will give information specifically about the courses, the topics, as well as the assessment procedures for the GCSE and the A-levels.
And if a student's feeling concerned about their upcoming options choices, who do you think they should reach out to?
So they can reach out to their class teachers, their form teachers, their senior leaders, the likes of ourselves. They can speak to our careers counsellor, they can speak to their friends and family, they can do some research. We've got a library that's got a whole load of resources for universities. So there's many different areas that they can look at and reach out to for support and guidance in making the right choices.
And I know once they've made their choices, they do have a little bit of breathing room. So if they know before the start of the year, actually I've really thought about it and I need to change that option, as long as that class isn't full, they have the flexibility to do that, don't they?
Yes, and so in September when they come back and they begin their new course or new transition into Key Stage 4 or Key Stage 5, we give them a couple of weeks, 2 weeks maximum, to think about the option choices that they've made and whether they're right or not for them. And then we guide them as to what they should do. But then after the 2 weeks, we don't tend to allow students to change because of the amount of work that's done at GCSE and A level, especially in the first couple of weeks of a new term.
And just in terms of choosing options, and for those parents out there who maybe are not familiar with A levels in particular, how widely accepted are A levels around the world for university courses?
Very widely accepted. They're one of the most renowned international and national qualifications that you can do and that universities will accept. Again, it's important that students research into the universities that they want to go into and what the requirements are from those different universities. And that will tell you, and you will see, so if parents are watching this, if you go onto any university, you'll look at the requirements, the majority of those will say about international or A levels.
Okay, thank you.